Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to season 12, episode 46, overall 651 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by our friends at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership, 519-824-0210, and tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969. And also, speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, it is winter time here in Southern Ontario. And if you need new winter tires, check out the service department at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. Sarah Higgins or Greg Smith, they can help you find the right winter tires for your vehicle. And speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, too, with it being winter and having temperatures like tonight, minus 20 with the wind chill, that can be hard on your battery. So right now at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, they have a 12-volt free battery test. And if you happen to need a new battery, you can receive a $20 instant rebate on a new battery as well. More details at barrycullen.com, and tell them that Chris Palme sent you. I hope everybody is doing well on this very cold, minus 20 wind chill and snowy night here on this Monday, January 19th, 2026. And I'm looking forward to my guest tonight. It's her first appearance on our show. We met through social media, and she's a native of Michigan, where I have cousins and family as well. And her name is Esther Nevarez. I butchered her name, so I apologize. Her name is Esther Nevarez. Stand-up comedian, improviser, writer, actor based at a sunny LA right now. And we're going to bring on Esther right now. I do apologize for butchering your last name. I had been practicing it and I just butchered it. So I do apologize.
No worries. It's Nevarez.
Nevarez. Okay.
Yeah, no, I know, like, it's hard for a lot of people to get it. And then I moved to LA. And then everybody just says it in Spanish. Like, it doesn't matter because there's so many Mexicans here. I'll go to a comedy show and they're like, and next, Esther Nevarez. And I'm like, how do you know how to say my name? I'm not used to living in a very Mexican state.
Nevarez.
Coming from Michigan.
And speaking of Detroit, I have family that lives in that area too. And they have a great Mexican area too for food there as well in downtown Detroit.
Yeah, Southwest Detroit is very Mexican. My great aunt lived in Southwest Detroit, had 13 children. And so I had cousins. I was related to all of Southwest Detroit for a minute there. But it's really cool. It's a cute neighborhood.
What makes you what are some of the best things about Michigan and the state of Michigan and the Detroit area that you miss being in LA?
I can tell you I don't miss the cold and I don't miss the snow. But what I do miss, I miss the people. I had a lot of I still have them, but had a lot of really fun cliques with the comedy community and just people that I grew up with. And I miss the downtown Detroit area, watching it every time I go home. I see a new area that's completely different. I love that in Detroit, for the longest time, you couldn't really like Google certain places. Like there'd be like an art installation and I'd look it up on the internet and like, oh, people have to come to this all the time, and there's no sign of it. It's very like you could find an alley, decorate it, have a whole art like exhibition, and nobody would know. Because I mean, the people that know. It's a very if you know, you know kind of city. I love that. There's a lot of art, a lot of local art, a lot of great music.
The city has reinvented itself because back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, it was kind of a rust bucket city, and now it's really evolved. And I haven't been there in a couple years. I was there for the 2024 NFL draft in Detroit.
Oh,
275,000 people downtown, and what an amazing experience it is. And I felt safe the complete time I was down there. Obviously, it was hard getting in and out of the city with that many people, but never once did I feel like I was going to get shot or stabbed in downtown Detroit. It's really evolved even in the last decade.
yeah, it's been interesting where like people would come from out of town to like I'm a big Jack White Stripes fan, and I'd go to Masonic Temple, which is downtown. And I remember seeing people coming from all over the country to those shows, like from other states, and they were parking in like areas that I was like, oh, they shouldn't be parking there at all. There were like always streets that felt safe. And then maybe a couple blocks over, just abandoned houses and cars on blocks and things where we knew where to go and where not to go. And out of towners were like, oh, we didn't know that.
Well, over the decades, the population was shrinking, and now it seems like it's regrowing again as well. And I have to ask you this as well. Um, who has the best Mexican food in Detroit or in the state of Michigan, in your opinion?
Hmm. Oh man, I've been through so many of them, and now I feel like I'm not as well versed. I think the last time that I had one that was a go-to was called Los Galanes, and that was in Southwest Detroit. But chances are there's a lot of other great food there that I don't know about right now. But yeah, Los Galanes was my last favorite there.
I have cousins that live in Taylor, Michigan and Allen Park, Michigan, which is about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes from Detroit. So I'm obviously a Canadian and was born in Ontario, but I used to come across the border all the time. And my cousins Mike and Terry got me into the Red Wings, the Pistons, the Tigers, and it's a great sports city too. But there's a lot to do there as well, and it's known for its lakes too.
Yes, there I knew some people who lived on lakes, but it was like everybody knew a person who lived on a lake, who had a pontoon boat. That was everybody. That the summer was always like going to lake living, or they would be everybody goes up north, but everyone's definition of up north is totally different. Like I worked in Southfield, Michigan, and I lived in Waterford, Michigan. It's like a 45-minute drive. And I was at work one time and somebody was saying they were going up north for the 4th of July. And I was like, where are you going? They were going to Waterford. They were going to where I lived. It's like, I guess I go up north every day. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, the whole lake life is that's its own thing there. Everybody's on a lake in the summer.
And the weather there is very similar to Ontario. You guys are like next door neighbors to us as well. Wanted to ask you this too. I wasn't going to talk to you a lot about sports tonight, but since you're from Michigan, is it Michigan or Michigan State? Detroit Lions. Oh, I've
And
had a number of guests. Go ahead.
I prefer U of M. I almost went there, and I had a lot of friends that went there, like close friends went there versus state. I had some state friends, but I was more I would have gone to U of M versus I ended up going to college out of state for they didn't have the major that I wanted at the time.
And I see you have a Detroit Lions shirt on, by the way.
Yeah. Yes, and I saw that you're an Eagles fan. What made you an Eagles fan?
When they beat Dallas in the 1980 NFC Championship game, I was 8 years old. I was knee high at the time at 8 years. I'm not that tall. 45 years later. But they beat the Dallas Cowboys, who everybody hates. And I just love Philadelphia fans because they're passionate, maybe a little crazy, passionate, and they're hardcore. And that championship game back in 1980 is why I became a Philadelphia Eagles fan, because I just love the city. And I know they have some knuckleheads there too, but I just love the passion and the history of the team. And the Eagles have been around as long as the Detroit Lions, and they don't play the Lions that often. They did this year, and they beat the Lions, but the Detroit Lions, hey, they'll be back. They had an off year, so hey, the Eagles did too. Both of our teams, the Lions missed the playoffs, which shocked everyone, and the Eagles lost to a depleted San Francisco team. So the Eagles and the Lions will be back better next year, and I'm convinced of it, with Detroit too, with Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and stuff like that. And I've had a number of people from the Detroit Lions on my show as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they just signed a new offensive coordinator today that some people were a little unhappy with because nobody knows him. But besides that, hopefully everything's good. The draft this year was cool. I mean, I feel like they got a lot of good players. Isaac Tesla, he was great. That's going to be fun watching him get better and better.
Develop. Yes, absolutely. So I think the Lions will rebound, and I think the Eagles will rebound too. The Eagles are looking for a new offensive coordinator as well. They fired theirs 2 days after they got put out by San Francisco. Hey, you know the world of sports, very competitive. You're basically hired to be fired.
Yeah. I didn't understand football forever. I tried. I've been with my boyfriend for like, how long have we been together now? 13, 14 years? I don't even know anymore.
Congratulations.
But we were together. Thank you. We've been together.
That's
forever.
amazing.
And he loves football. And I always hated it because I was in marching band. And that was part of the reason I did not go to U of M. Part of it was that I chose a school without a football team. I hated football so much. I hated it. I'd be in the cold. I hate the cold, outside, marching with my wooden clarinet, talking about, this is going to crack, just angry. Hated it. I was supposed to know so that we played the correct song. I didn't even know when to play our fight song. I didn't know when we were supposed to cheer or not. I just kept telling everyone who ever talked to me about it. They run, they fall down, they pat each other on the butt. And what does any of that mean? And then finally, it was watching the Lions with him. They kept almost winning. And then I was like, wait, like they just lost because he got in trouble for dancing? That was the whole reason and that happened, I don't know how many times. And then I got involved because I was like, I didn't know they were almost winning. I just thought they were bad. Everybody just said they were bad. So then now I've learned so much more about it. Started watching other teams and seeing people like Jason Kelsey talk and different players from other teams, seeing how their culture is. My family, extended family, is in Texas, so they're Dallas fans, and
my condolences. My condolences.
And I didn't know because when I was little, when probably the year that you're talking about, I think it is, because I remember that Dallas was going crazy, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, all that stuff. And they sent me somehow for Christmas some Dallas shirt, and I knew nothing. My dad didn't watch football, so I knew nothing. So my mom sent me to school in third grade or whenever it was in my Dallas shirt. And all the little boys I was in Pontiac, Michigan, and they were like, oh, you like Dallas? I'm like, I don't know.
If you're outside of Texas and Dallas, yeah, the Cowboys call themselves America's team, but if you're not in the Dallas, Texas area, everybody seems to hate the Cowboys. It's either you love the Cowboys or you hate the Cowboys. There's no in between.
Yeah, we have a Lions bar here in LA that we go to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have, and it's a Lions bar. It started a Lions bar, then the Eagles and the Bills kind of took over as well, and so now we share it with the Eagles fans and the Bills fans. And when we played the Eagles, all we kept doing is getting together, like, saying we hate Dallas. That was the unification.
I know LA's got two teams again. They got the Rams and the Chargers, and they have a beautiful facility, SoFi. But LA not having a team for 25 years really hurt that market because other people in that city switched to the Raiders and to other teams. So
Mhm.
I find when the Lions, the Eagles, the Bills, the 49ers, any team that comes to LA, I would say over half the crowd is going for the visiting team.
We tailgated and we went to the Rams game, and there were a lot of Lions fans there for sure. I it Yeah, it's crazy how that works. We been to that stadium's beautiful. It's so nice. It's weird because I lived in Chicago for 9 years. So I went to college in Chicago, DePaul University, and I was there during the Bulls reign and them winning championships, and that city goes crazy. So I still have friends there, and I was seeing them go crazy over the Bears getting close to winning. And here, they could care less. Like, I don't hear a beep, I don't hear a firework, not a horn, not a yay, scream, nothing. No one cares.
LA reminds me of Toronto. Toronto, they love their hockey team, the Maple Leafs, and maybe the Blue Jays and Raptors. But as for professional football, we have the Canadian Football League here. They have the CFL team here. But to me, Toronto, they've tried having NFL team games in Toronto, and Toronto really doesn't have one particular team. Everyone
Mm.
says Buffalo because we're close to Buffalo, but Toronto is similar to LA in that sense of football. And speaking of football, I wanted to get your thoughts quickly on tonight's matchup between Miami and Indiana. And when you think of Indiana, you think of Larry Bird, you think of basketball, and Indiana has come out of nowhere to now be one win away from being national champions. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, I didn't watch well, I just got into not just got into the NFL. I've been watching the NFL now for at least 3 solid years. Probably started 4 years ago and now, like, became a fan, which I just feels insane to me. But college, I haven't paid as much attention to, but I have a friend here who's a transplant from Indiana, so she's excited. And my cat picks games. He has two. He's trained. He jumps through hoops. He skateboards. Simba with the thumbs. Everybody follow Simba with the thumbs on all platforms. Anyway, he picks teams, NFL teams. And then people kept commenting like, pick college, pick college. So he has picked the Hoosiers. So because my cat knows more about college football than me, I have to pick Indiana as well.
What's the story behind your cat Simba? Did you adopt him?
Yes, I he was a foster fail, which I didn't even know what that term was. Started fostering kittens in 2020 during COVID because we were like, "Oh, let's hang out with kittens. That should be easy." Everybody was like, "You're gonna be a foster fail." I thought that meant my friends were telling me I was gonna be a bad foster cat mom. I was like, "No, I'm not. I can take care of cats." No, foster fail means you're going to accidentally adopt the cat, and I did. I We went through 3 sets, I wanna say, of kittens, and I did not know it was gonna be so hard to get rid of them. The first set, we were like, "Oh, no, we wanna keep him," but he was, I wanna say, the 3rd round, him and his sister, and we weren't gonna keep him, we were putting him up for adoption, and we got these cats that were, like, not mean, but they were not socialized, and so they taught us how to socialize really hard to socialize cats, so we would do all these things for 'em. The sister would not socialize. We tried everything. She was hissing. She wouldn't work. So we thought we were giving them to another family because sometimes when you switch them, they get better. So we gave back the sister, and they were like, "No, you got to keep the brother." I was like, "Oh, I thought we were giving them both." So we got rid of his sister, and this cat loved us. He was so lovable, most lovable cat I've ever been around once his sister was gone. So we were like, "Oh no, we have to keep him." So then we watched a documentary on Netflix about training cats, and then we were watching some videos on YouTube, and we decided to train him. And my boyfriend really like took the reins with that one, but we've trained him to do a bunch of stuff, and that's how he became. And he's polydactyl, so hence the symbol with the thumbs. So he's orange, which a lot of people say orange cats are dumb, but they say they share one brain cell, and he got the brain cell, I guess. So
To me, cats are smarter than people give them credit for. And I volunteer at a local humane society here, and I also adopted a cat, a Siamese cat named Latte. And Latte is
ooh,
spoiled rotten, and Latte knows how to manipulate me for food and treats.
I love Siamese. They're always screaming. I don't know. Does
She
she
looks like a
scream?
grumpy cat. No, but she has that grumpy cat face look. I'll have to send you a picture
Yeah,
of her after.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's fun. He has his own like fan base. People talk to him. Yeah, it's been great having like growing his thing online. It's been really cool.
Is Simba going to be doing the championship games for the NFL next weekend?
Oh
Picks.
yeah. Oh
Okay,
yeah. I don't think
I'll
he's
have to check.
picked yet. He picked he picked the Rams, so he got that one right. But
He's doing better than us humans.
he was doing really well for a while. He was really doing well. People were like, "Oh my gosh, your cat is psychic." Because yeah, the way he picked too was he sometimes goes back and forth with the bells, but we're like, it doesn't count unless you ding it. So he was going back and forth, and my boyfriend in the video was like, "Oh, it sounds like they're going to be back and forth, and it's going to be a really close game." And then went into overtime, and people were commenting like, "He's psychic. He's a psychic cat." So he's been doing well. When
Absolutely.
um when I was in high school, well, not after high school, when I was 19, we went to Windsor all the time to go drinking.
With the
So how
drinking
long
age
did you
shares.
stay in Windsor?
No,
Oh, you were in
I
Ontario.
yeah, I'm in Ontario. I'm about 3.5 hours from Windsor, so maybe
Okay.
4 hours from Detroit. But yeah, going to Windsor driving is such a boring drive. It's all flat land from here to Windsor. But Windsor to my cousin's place, if you don't have any problems at the border, it's normally about 20 minutes and stuff like that. And they're good people and stuff like that. And my love of sports kind of started out from them as well. They love all their sports teams there as well. So by the way, cats and dogs and animals, they're like therapy too.
Yeah, for sure. Cat purrs supposed to be very
Absolutely.
healing. With a good frequency.
Absolutely. Now, I'm just based out of Toronto, near Toronto. I'm in Guelph. Can you just tell our audience a little bit about yourself and when did you catch the comedy and entertainment bug?
I've been doing stand up and improv on and off since 2008. And I really wanted to take improv, and that's how I started. I feel like, so it sounds morbid, but I had friends or people pass away in life, and it seemed like every time I had a friend pass away or a family member pass away, I was like, life is short. I'm going to do things. I'm going to do the things that I've wanted to do and just try. Before then, I was I'm a musician too, and so I play music and stuff like that. But I was kind of chicken and being vulnerable and putting myself out there in that way. It just wasn't something that everybody did because you and I are around the same age, and I just know that now people do anything online or go to an open mic or whatever. It just does wasn't even in like I didn't know anyone who did anything like that. So I knew people when I lived in Chicago. I always wished that I took Second City then, but I was in bands and I knew people who were at Second City in Chicago, but it was I think then classes were like $250 and I was in college. So that sounded like $1 million. So when I moved back to Detroit, I ended up taking improv class, and then the people in my improv class also took this stand-up class. It was at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak, and my stand-up teacher he still teaches there. His name Bill Bouchard. He's great, and a lot of the like local comics go through his class, and the biggest the biggest advice, he was always just like, write that down, write that down, write that down. And telling us where to maneuver, what to expect when we go to comedy and comedy places. So I then I took class. They had improv at Mark Ridley's. Then their improv was only a few classes, and then there was nowhere else nothing to go towards after that. So I went to stand up, and then eventually took improv again at the other theaters in Michigan, which are Planet Ant Theater and Go Comedy Theater in the Detroit area, and just kept doing it from there. There's been times in life where life happens and I take a break, but a lot of times that then is something that I want to talk about in stand up. Like if something bad happens in life, I just write jokes about it, and then that's my set. So I feel like that's what I've been doing. Is I started out, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do other than try it, and then it's led to kind of like being a way to process terrible things in life.
Esther, can you just tell our audience a little bit about the difference between stand-up comedy and improv, and how much improv could help you with stand-up comedy as well? The both of them?
Yes. So stand up is what people probably conventionally see as stand up comedy, like Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, I don't know, all the people that you see with one microphone, a person on a stage talking, and hopefully doing a setup and a punchline or telling a funny story. Stand up. Improv is acting out scenes that with no script, nothing that has been pre-planned. They might have a way, a form, as they call them, but sometimes it's just give me a word. An audience member says chicken, and then multiple people versus one, anywhere from two to who knows amount of people, 2 to 12, who knows. People are doing scenes and making up something that has characters, a plot, and they do a collection of scenes based on a suggestion or something that they build out in the beginning.
Esther, do you find physical comedy still has a place today in the comedy world?
Yeah, I mean, you mean physical comedy, like people falling down?
Yes.
I think it does.
Like Chevy Chase
Yeah, I was
and some
thinking
of the
John Ritter, Three's
yes.
Company. He was always falling down. Oh yeah, I've seen that in improv more so, of course, but it it scares me personally because I'm not a good faller. I actually, is it 2 years ago now? Not last June, but June before, I was doing improv in rehearsal and I broke my leg just
Wow.
doing improv. Crazy. I guess I just was getting too physical. I was just trying to get on the floor really fast, but it was the physicality of improv, I feel like, is taught in a more like get energetic, bring energy to the scene. So a lot of times when people first start out in improv, they're just like two people. They call them like talking heads, and they're just like doing nothing and talking. And that can get really boring for the audience very fast and for the performers. So in improv, there is what is called space work or object work, where you're doing whatever you're talking about whatever you're talking about, but you are miming like you're making a sandwich or you're doing your laundry or you're knitting or you're doing something to give a stage picture that isn't just two people talking. And a lot of times that is physical comedy, people running, falling, throwing themselves on the stage. So I still see it for sure.
How would you describe yourself as a stand-up comedian and as an improv person? And also, how much has improv and comedy helped you in terms of your acting career?
Oh, and I was going to say with improv and stand up too, I remember when I started taking more classes with improv, and then I had a stand up set, and I had a friend tell me, like, I felt like you were more animated or more, I don't, connecting with the audience. I don't know what exactly it was, but I knew that was like from doing more stand up. I mean, more improv. I feel like doing improv helps stand up for when, if something goes off the rails, being able to follow a tangent, being able to talk to somebody in the audience and get and weave it back into what you were talking about, doing act outs, doing characters, all those things are where improv and stand up kind of blend together. But improv has helped in acting because I feel like good improvisers are more real. They're grounded. There's like a I've had a lot of really great improv teachers who talk about how it's funnier to be real than it is to try to be funny, because the comedy comes with the relationship between the two characters. Even being a weird character, there's like a grounding and a realism to it that helps in acting. That's where I've learned most of acting, is through comedic acting and through improv. And sorry, tell me what your other question was again.
No,
I missed two questions back.
just how much has it helped you, being an actor, being improv, and stand-up comedian?
Yeah, that's how it has helped in that way.
How much have you evolved and improved over the years as a stand-up comedian and doing improv?
I hopefully I've improved. I don't know. It's so hard to look at your own, it's like watching grass grow. I don't know. I feel like starting out, I probably was very stuck to, I wrote this and this is what I want to say because I wrote these words, and I would say things the same way all the time. And I think stand up wise, gotten to where if something reminds me of something else in the audience or in the show itself, I can go off on a tangent, come back to what I was talking about, not have a scripted where it's a lot of comedians at first are like da 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 and da 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 da. They don't have a looseness because they're trying to remember what they wrote. And improv for sure has helped in that way of just having the concept of what I know I want it to be and not being married to the words and the exact words. And with improv, I've had some really great teachers, and I feel like every time I have a good teacher who comes with a different philosophy of, this is another lens I was thinking of it in. I I feel like a improv gets better in those ways. Um, my There were really good improvisers that came out of Detroit, and I watch them, listen to them whenever I can, and they've they've helped a lot. Watching good improv helps. Watching good stand up, I mean, it's fun and everything, but I don't know that it helps stand up as much as watching good improv just somehow feeds into what you've already learned. And you're like, oh, I didn't think to do it that way. Oh, I could, if that happens in my situation, I could go about it that way. Even if it's not exactly, it's like a blueprint to watch people and how they relate with each other. Because I went through, like I said, Planet Ant and Go Comedy in Detroit, and those people, most of those teachers came out of Second City, Detroit. Second City is, their philosophy is based on the relationships with people. So it's always trying to find instead of like the plot, or instead of being a crazy character. You can have those things, but it's like diving into what's the relationship with the people on stage. How do you feel about each other? What is your thing? What is their thing? And how does that relate together? And I feel like that's a good way of getting to a story that there's only so many stories, like there's so many relationships and so many stories, and then everything else is kind of on top of that. Because what people, I feel like, want to see a lot of times is something they can relate to. Like it could be, it's a love story, but this one is between a garbage man and a dinosaur, but it's still a love story.
Esther, I wanted to ask you this too. Do you find improv is shrinking in terms of people getting into improv? And do you find creativity in the comedy improv industry is shrinking as well?
Well, I was not happy that Second City Hollywood left here. They moved. Um, Before that, there was Improv Olympics, which is IO. They were here and they left. So in that way, there were some big places that left LA. Um, Second City left Detroit. I see a lot of people getting into it here, and it grew in Detroit. The theater that I was in, Planet Ant, went from being a small black box theater to having a stage now that holds 250 people. So I feel like I see it grow, but I also have seen some of the major places kind of shrink. So I don't know. I still see more people getting into it than when I first started, for sure.
For those people who are watching our show live stream right now or on audio, and they're looking to get into the comedy, improv, or even the entertainment industry, what advice would you give to those people from your experience?
Try it, go do reps. The first time might be bad, or the first time will be great. And then you're always chasing the great time that you're like, well, I feel like when I try a joke, sometimes, a lot of times, first time I'll try it, I'll be like, oh, that went great. And then the second time I'm trying to say what I said before, but that was more organic. And then you're chasing this feeling. There are a lot of open mics now. There are more open mics now. And I feel like more places to just go up in other ways. There's storytelling. There's here in, not a fan, but in LA, there's clowning. People are really into it. Um, I would say, Google where are the open mics near me. Go up, give it a try. There are a lot of what they call supportive open mics. The what do you call it? Like improv and stand up kind of intersect. And there's a lot of people that do improv, that do stand up that do improv. And improv is way more supportive than your average run of the mill open mic stand up. A lot of stand up is a lot of dudes, and a lot of them can just be stupid. So there's somehow with improv, I think maybe it's because you you have to have a mentor, like to do it. As far as I know, everyone I know that does it has gone to a class and they've had a teacher. So you've got some sort of guidance. Stand up, a man off the street who was a plumber his whole life and is a horrible person can go to any bar that has a mic, sign up, and you're there. So finding the right place is good, not to just try it. Oh, these people in this place was terrible, I hate all stand up. That I would say, find the places around you, find what people consider supportive, keep trying, and then I hope in my lifetime stand up has genres, because I'm so tired of there not being genres. There's a little bit. It's kind of like alt comedy and then comedy, but with everything else, there's genres. And I feel like I'll do a show and I won't know what kind of show it is a lot of times, and there'll be crazy people. So
Since you've been in comedy since 2008, do you find diversity has increased in comedy with males and females and even transgenders? Do you find there's more diversity now in the comedy industry than when you first started?
yes, for sure, especially more in LA, but it is more diverse in general. Um, it's still weird with women because like a lot of times that it's like how things feel forced, but then if you don't force it, then there'll be none. So you have to force it to some degree. Because some women get mad if there's like, it's a ladies' night. Like, but if they don't make a ladies' night, then it's just every night's a man's night. So I don't know what else they can do. There's in Detroit, I know the people that I worked with always tried to strive for diversity. And I know there's some places in LA that I'll see flyers for shows and there's no diversity, not even trying. So I know it's gotten more diverse, but I know it's also still an issue. In LA, I see a lot of trans comics. I see a lot of different cultures. LA is super diverse in the fact that there are different neighborhoods. There's a lot of different cultures that I didn't know existed before I got here. Like there's I knew about Koreatown, but like there's Thai Town, Little Tokyo, there's um the Mexican neighborhoods, there's a lot of Russian comedians here. There's just a lot more different genres of people. And so it is diverse, but I can also definitely go to a mic and I'll look around and be like, there are only 5 women here and there are 100 men. So
I do have a viewer
oh
watching our
no,
show
you're
from
breaking up.
Instagram
Sorry.
Live, and he's an international motorcycle rider. Okay, his name is Edward Hearn. He's watching on Instagram, and he has been on my show. And he was in the U.S. military for 20 years, but he's now a professional motorcycle rider. And he just wants to say, "Hey, Esther, if we ever meet, I would help you into the booster seat out of my car into your car." I guess he's seen one of your videos about your short jokes, and he just said he's a huge fan. He loves your work.
Oh, oh, thank you. That's cool. Yeah, I was on a show called Laughs a while ago, years ago now, but that probably was a clip from that show. It was cool.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, it was a show that a comedian named Steve Hofstetter put together that was syndicated. So it was on Fox, but a syndicated, the network Fox, not Fox News or anything like that. But yeah, it would be on like an 11 p.m. on a Saturday or what, like a weekend type show that had he'd go to different cities and have different comics have clips on there. It was cool. Thank you.
Speaking of shorts, I used to be 5'9", now I'm 5'6", so I'm going down too.
I know I'm going to be shrinking. I do yoga to try to stretch myself, but I am 4'10", so it's bad. But I
Oh,
mean, I should be used to it by now. But
by the way, I've had a couple of female ventriloquists on our show, one from LA,
ooh,
Christine Barger, and one from Australia. And that industry is not easy to do as well. And I didn't even realize there was female ventriloquists until I had them on. What are your thoughts on ventriloquism? And have you ever thought about doing that as well or trying?
wow! I did not know. Well, I guess I knew there were still ventriloquists, but it's been a while. I feel like in the 70s that was very popular. Like Madam, I think her name was the ventriloquist, the puppet. Who were the other ones? There was a guy, Leroy. Some I feel like in the 70s ventriloquism was that was a hot time for ventriloquists. And since then, I haven't thought about it. I know there are a lot of odd stand-up comedians, I'll tell you. And in Detroit, the oddest ones were the ones with a puppet. There were a few, but they were the weirdest people to the point where it became like a stigma. They were like, "Oh no, not a puppet." So I always liked puppets. I mean, I grew up on the Muppet Show. Puppets are great. So it's kind of weird that at least in Detroit that got a little odd. I've never thought of doing it other than I feel like if I ever did a puppet thing, I wouldn't want to be in it. I'd want to just have a puppet and be underneath, like Kermit the Frog style.
Oh, if I keep getting shorter, we can do a comedy act. Deal. Hey, I wanted to ask you this as well, Esther. Who are some of your favorite comedians, both female and male, when you were growing up?
It's weird saying them because I don't do any comedy that's anywhere near like it, really. But Eddie Murphy Raw, I watched that so much that I could quote it backwards and forwards. Delirious, of course. I remember there was a show, it was hosted by Martin Short, which it was on HBO called Ladies of the Night and Women of the Night. It was Ladies of the Night or Women of the Night. It was Judy Tenuta, Paula Poundstone, Ellen DeGeneres. I'm trying to remember who else was on that show, but we used to watch that, because back in the day, you just had a VHS tape with something on it and you just watched it until it broke. We watched that show so much. I loved Judy Tenuta. Oh my God. And I loved Ellen, and I feel bad that now that's a bad thing to say. I just heard horror stories about her, but I like that kind of like funny, observational, silly, kind of like like deadpan humor. I really like that. I feel like I emulate that more than I love Chris Rock. I guess I'm trying to think of who I first got into. I probably watched more of the people who are around now, probably more Chris Rock than anything. I love people like now I love Josh Johnson. He's great. He hosts The Daily Show and he puts out a special every week on YouTube, which is insane. That's just unheard of. I don't know how more comedians aren't talking about how that is a feat. It's crazy. I guess it, he just mines the everyday and constantly has material. But I love him. I love John Mulaney. I'm trying to think. Oh, Maria Bamford. Oh my God. There's going to be a documentary soon that Judd Apatow is making about Maria Bamford. I cannot wait. She's amazing. Just that odd, unique perspective, and also talking about like bad things that happened to her life and turning them into creativity. I love that.
By the way, I was a huge fan of Lily Tomlin. She was an actress, but a
Oh,
comedian.
yeah.
Lily Tomlin was good. She was good in The Incredible Shrinking Woman, by the way.
Yeah,
That
I
movie. Did you
remember
ever
that.
see it? Yeah, that was
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
movie.
Oh, yeah, that
She
was
was.
great.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I grew up on variety shows. My boyfriend is way younger than I am, so I'm always like the old woman going, back in my day,
I'm
we had but
53. I'm 53.
I'm
So
54.
no way. You look
Yeah,
40. No,
well,
seriously.
thanks. Don't tell anybody in LA that I'm 54. Okay, but it,
I promise.
um, but you grew up on the same stuff. The variety shows, the Carol Burnett show,
Show.
it was so amazing. Sonny and Cher, just the
That
fact
was
that
a big deal.
I wish that more variety shows still existed. The Muppet Show, that's coming back. I love the Muppet Show. When I host, if I ever taught a comedy class, this would be my lesson. But when I host a comedy show, it doesn't matter. I swear it doesn't matter what you say, as long as you end with the name and then you Kermit the Frog. That's basically, He's like, Chris Brawny! And then your intro, you know, like if you just whatever you say, Kermit the Frog it, you're good. Or I
By
got
the
all
way,
my my skills.
you brought up Paula Poundstone's name. She's a legend as a female comedian. I had the pleasure of meeting her and seeing her perform 21 years ago. And I should send you the picture. I was much skinnier and better looking back then, but it was great to meet her. She was a legend, and I was able to get a picture with her before they called it a selfie. That's when I had the digital camera before our phones became everything. So it was really nice meeting her and seeing her perform live as well. And I've had a number of comedians on from Detroit: Robin Gilran, Cameron Kay, and the Lovedees. It's a husband and wife couple that does comedy in Detroit as well. So I've had a number of comedians on from Michigan too.
Yeah, I know Robin. She's great. Yeah, we used to go to Windsor and do stand up. I'm trying to remember where is it called Villains? There's a place in Windsor called Villains, and I can't remember what the other places were called, but oh, Leo's. That was cool too. But yeah, I was friends with a few Canadian comics, and they would come over to some open mics that I hosted. But mostly it was just going to Windsor and dancing at Changes when I was 19. That was a good spot.
You mentioned Second City too. There is a Second City in Toronto since the 70s, and I was there in May to see
Oh,
Mary Kennedy. Mary Kennedy, who's a comedian out in Los Angeles. She's a friend of mine, and she performed at Second City in Toronto too. And that's where the late John Candy and a lot of the SCTV legends like Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin performed as well. So I'm gonna have to
yes.
hope to go back to Second City. Why did Second City in Detroit not why did it not exist? Why doesn't it not still there? And also in LA too, because Detroit, I hear, is a really good comedy state. Like it's growing.
It really is. I don't know why Second City didn't survive there. It was a little before my improv time, which I'm sad about. I wish I would have gotten in there beforehand. They produce some of the funniest people that exist right now. Tim Robinson, Sam Richardson, Keegan Michael Key, like my friend here, Jamie Moyer, one of the funniest people, most talented people that I know. And I've been lucky enough to take classes with her, and she's so good. But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't because of the talent, not having talent, that's for sure. I would guess venues and that sort of thing. It's always comes down to money.
It's a business. How competitive is the comedy industry, Esther? And do you remember the first time you performed in front of a live audience?
I remember that I blacked out performing because I was so scared. I I have a friend named Rio Scafone. She's a wonderful actor, musician in Detroit, and she had a venue that she was booking, like the stage area. It was a restaurant that had a stage area, and she was putting up plays, and she was working with a guy who wanted to have an open mic. So I was working the door, I was DJing it, I was doing everything but stand up. And then afterwards, I would talk to all the comedians, and then I would say things, and they were like, "Oh, I'm going to use that," and they were writing it down and like performing what I was saying. Then I was like, "I think I want to try it," and I was scared. Oh my god! And I still have the list of what I talked about, but I remembered a little bit, and then when I was done, I was just shaking. I was like, "I don't remember what I did." It was frightening, but that was, I mean, an open mic. I'm trying to remember a first show I took. Like I said, I took a class after that actually, and we had a class show, so I remember doing that. And I don't know what the first thing I was booked on. There was a club in Detroit called Joey's Comedy Club, and that was probably the first time that I went up in front of like a big audience. I feel like I was way more nervous and way more scared than I am now. But
What's harder to perform in front of a big audience or a small audience?
man, sometimes a huge audience is scary because you can't see anything but lights. So it's just like sometimes it's fun to see people's faces so you know who's reacting to what, and then seeing people in real time kind of whisper to their friend like, "Oh, that happened to me," and then like kind of call them like, "Did you say that happened to you?" And then have fun interacting. With a huge audience, it's just lights, and so that can be a little intimidating in a way. But a really small, I've performed at, I'm trying to think of the place, like Royal Oak Music Theater, which is a theater, and I've also performed at a bowling alley that everybody in the town went to a huge football game that happened to be happening, high school football. So they were going to cancel our show because there was no one there. So there were 4 people at a table, and they were like, "Oh, well, they want to watch you guys." And we performed in front of 4 drunk ladies. It's just ridiculous. It's like, why are we still doing this? I just asked them, "All right, what do you guys want to talk about?" And they were like, "Strippers." And well, I guess we're talking about strippers. It's very weird. So I don't know. They both have their ups and downs.
Have you thought about one day writing your own book about your comedy experiences and also maybe your own podcast show? You're a natural on camera here.
Oh, thank you. I did have podcasts and I've taken a break from them and I need to start them up again because I love doing them. I feel like when I was doing them, when we started, my boyfriend and I were doing them through Planet Ant. Actually, they have a podcast network, and I wasn't doing video, and it's just so much easier. I went to school for audio actually, so I know audio. And so recording, editing,
It's
that's
a lot of work.
simple to me. But the visual portion of it, now everything has to be visual, everything has to be online and yada yada. Yeah. So that I will get back into. Um writing, I guess it's interesting because I, like I was saying about the comedians that I enjoy, I've also read some of their books. Like I remember Ellen's book, and Chelsea Handler had a book, and um I'm currently reading a David Sedaris book. Like I feel that would be fun, but I think when I think of book, I think of like, it's gonna be a plot or whatever. I don't think about what I'm reading, which is just short essays or short stories that are funny. That I think I would love to do that, and I don't. I have so many things that I want to do. I'm always like, I have 500 things I want to do today, and then all of a sudden it's night, and I'm like, what happened? So that's my life.
Esther, when you do a live performance, do you have any rituals before to help you stay calm or relaxed? And have you ever experienced stage fright where you or you've seen another comedian kind of shrink in the spotlight?
Oh yeah, I feel like beforehand, maybe what I don't do, I don't like having caffeine beforehand. I don't like having alcohol beforehand. Anything like I just want to be playing. No, caffeine messes me up where I'm just like shaky. I had I've had huge stage fright where I don't like contests. I remember doing a festival that was a contest, excuse me, and feeling like so nervous to where I felt like I was kind of just saying rather than performing. And I I've had stage fright. I went to school at DePaul University for audio engineering, but it was through a music school. So to get in, I had to perform. So I play clarinet. So I got into college playing a clarinet, having to play a clarinet solo for the. Oh, I was so nervous. I feel like maybe, well, not just now, but I've gotten probably through it through improv, really. Just gotten a lot less scared. I feel like the performing improv, you don't know what's going to happen, and that's part of it. So it's like practicing not knowing what's going to happen and being okay with it.
How would you describe your comedy style for those people that have never seen you do stand-up comedy before? And how long does it take for you to gauge an audience's mood?
Mm, you can kind of walk into a venue and kind of look around and be like, oh, okay, they look like they're going to be pretty chill, or they're already screaming, and you're like, oh wow, they're going to be wild. Like, you can tell by kind of just looking at them, looking at the demographic. um i I feel like my comedy, like I said, I like to talk about things that have happened in my life. So I guess like probably more personal. If I have like a observation, I try to wrap it in some sort of story or something that I saw before. I talk about being Mexican, talk about being a woman. Lately, I've been talking a lot about aging and different generations, because being Gen X, as you know, there's, I don't know what happened to us, but there's not many of us. I don't know where we are. They're all hiding. I don't go out and see people like from our generation hardly ever. So I talk about that a lot. I had a dog bite injury. I talk about that. I went through breast cancer. I talk about that. I'm fine with all of them, and
Good,
that's
good.
pretty much at the beginning of everything. I'm like, I'm good now, but, and then just lay out. I like to, not like, I don't like to like shock like, but I like to bring up subjects that some people might go like, "Oh my," and then make them funny to where like, well, you have to laugh at that now, because if I'm laughing at it, that happens with like talking about being Mexican or something. Like there's times when people like clench up and like, I'm the one that's is that, like, having cancer. Like people like, oh, you can't joke about cancer. I'm like, I had it, so yeah, I can. Like, I like doing that.
Comedy improv is like a form of therapy. It's a lot cheaper than going to a shrink.
Oh yeah, I had to do that too, though, but still, no.
Same
But
here.
yeah, no, I do feel like when things happen, especially my boyfriend does stand up as well. So the both of us together, we'll have conversations, and then we'll start laughing, and then we're like, oh, we need to write that down and figure out a way for one of us to talk about it. We help each other write a lot.
Have you thought about doing a comedy duel together?
We have. We've hosted shows together to where we're both talking at the same time, and we kind of riff off of each other in the intro. And when I was doing hosting a podcast, we were hosting the podcast together. We just uh, filmed a sketch on Saturday, so we do a lot together.
How important is observational, visual, and listening skills?
Um, I think very important. I think it took me a while. Like I was saying, I had a class, a stand-up class, and he would always say, write stuff down. And I didn't understand for the longest time until I was dating my boyfriend who also does comedy. He would say, like, oh, write that down. And I'd be like, but I'm not writing stand-up right. I'm not writing comedy right now. It's like, you'll never remember it. And I've heard other comedians say that too. The If you think of a thing and it's funny to you in that moment, you have to write it down in that moment. Most people, I don't know what superhero person doesn't have to, superhuman memory. I have to write it down. And observational, I feel like everybody has a unique perspective on seeing a situation, and finding the humor, finding your lens of how you see it, and then finding what you think is funny about it is part of the observational part of it. Listening, I feel like a lot of times, not a lot of times, there's people I know who do stand up, who I'll have a conversation with a comedian and I can tell they're just trying to like do a joke on me. They're not listening to anything I'm saying. Getting stuck in one's head isn't good for having a larger comedy perspective. Because if you think something's funny and you're gonna have a conversation with another comedian about it, might as well listen to what they say, because it's your premise. You're gonna do the joke about it. They say something funny, then you have something to add to your joke. That's how comics talk.
Thoughts on ad-libbing as a comedian or in improv, and also the writing aspect of it. Do you find the writing aspect of comedy, do you find it's still the same there? Or do you find a lot of people who just try to use other comedians' jokes these days?
I think there's a lot of really good writers, and they're still writing their own jokes. As far as ad-libbing, I feel like there's some people that do really great crowd work, and there's some people who saw great crowd work and decided that's what they wanted to do, when it's like, it's still a skill. I've seen people who just want to ad lib, hey, where do you work? And then they have a stock joke forever. You're in a factory? What was my factory joke? Oh, you're a cook. Here's my cook joke. Like, it's not as fun to see, to me, as somebody who's writing about their life or writing something observational in a point of view that I've never heard before. So some ad-libbing can be frustrating. I feel like there's a lot of comedy there. That's why I was saying about comedy genres earlier. There's some genres of comedy I'm not a fan of, and some of it is that kind of just crowd work. I don't need to hear another roast joke, I think, for a while. That whole genre of just being crass and mean. I mean, I'm crass, I guess not crass, but just being mean and saying things for shot, like saying, here's a bad word. Ooh, I don't need to hear that stuff again. I want people to write again and tell a story, have a perspective that's unique, look at something that's new now. I mean, it's not like you can steal a joke about AI when AI just came out, like, that's not like a 50-year-old joke about AI. There are things that are happening now that people can write about, have comedy about, versus just going up and being like, I'm racist, and like, ah, that happens and it's stupid.
Esther, if you're okay for a few more minutes, I would like to show
Yeah,
our audience the video clip that you sent me and just get your thoughts on the video and where that was performed at, and maybe just a few more questions, if that's okay.
sure, no problem.
Thank you so much. And let me know if you can hear the audio. If we can't hear the audio, we'll fire the audio guy, which is me, by the way. I try to be funny. That's why I'm in radio. 1 second. Thank you so much for sharing this clip too, Esther. 1 second.
Oh, no problem.
I had a teacher who, I had straight A's. I was doing great. I got a B in chemistry. And my mom was like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. She gives me tests. And then the tests aren't what's in the book. I don't know. They're not matching. I don't know what happened. I graduated high school. I went to college, and she sent me an article. That woman built a bomb in my classroom with water-for-gettering chemicals that she taught us not how to use. I didn't know how to do. I could have learned how to build a bomb, apparently. She built a bomb, and then she went to Royal Oak on April 15th and blew up a mailbox full of taxes. Waterford! Yeah! At the time, I was pissed. I was like, I fucking had a 4.0. But then I look back, I was like, solidarity with the Texans. She was a hippie. Oh my God. We had so many hippie teachers. I had a physics teacher, hippie, and he was missing an eye. And when he would leave the class, he would take his glass eye out and put it on the desk and say, I'm keeping my eye on you. And he would walk out. Waterford. Oh my God, my psychology teacher would swear so much. He got in trouble. He's like, well, we'll take care of it. We got a swear jar. And then every time it fills up, we'll have donuts. We had donuts every week. Every week, because Waterford. Yes.
Thank you so much for letting me share this clip with the audience.
No
And
problem.
just
voice is
thoughts. Okay. Thoughts on that video and where you performed in that.
Yeah, I'm at One Night Stands in Waterford. When I was mentioning Waterford, that's where I grew up and went to high school, was Waterford, Michigan. And over last summer, my boyfriend and I, he headlined and I featured for him at One Night Stands in Waterford. It's a great comedy club. And I kind of wanted to talk about some of the stuff from the local high school there, which was the high school I went to, where my chemistry teacher built a bomb. So it was fun. I actually hadn't done those jokes before. I just wrote them for going back to Waterford. And it was fun to talk to them about it because some of them remembered, some of them I went to high school with, some of them were just still, they go there, but they no longer have bomb building teachers in Waterford. So I was just teaching them about history.
Esther, how much of an adjustment was it going from the Detroit area to Los Angeles? And did you notice some differences in between East Coast humor to West Coast humor?
Yes. I feel like, trying to think of, in performing, there were a lot of open mics in Detroit that I would go to. And in California, in LA, there are open mics where you go for literally 45 minutes. Everybody pays $5 and they're only comics. There is no audience and everybody goes up. You're out in 45 minutes. There are people in Detroit who hate that. They're like, you shouldn't have to pay. My way of justifying that to myself is that it's 45 minutes. So in Detroit, I don't think there is an open mic you can go to where you can go up and you're out within 45 minutes. And also in Detroit, there's a lot of bar open mics and they want you to support the bar and buy a drink and tip the bar staff and all that. I would have spent over $5 already for that. So I feel like they both have their good and bad. Detroit open mics, I performed in front of a lot of actual audience. LA mics, not as much. So just the going up and getting reps is different. The humor, when I first got here, I noticed a big difference in humor, like the things that were, I'm gonna say hack, but the common premises. Like I got here in 2019 and every open mic I went to, there was a open mic comedian talking about straws in the ocean and turtles. And I was like, what? Like, how is there even one? No one in Detroit was like, oh yeah, you know, those plastic straws, such and such, something turtle, something drugs. I was like, how can there be one person, more or less? Everyone. I feel like, I don't know if this is a common thing with comedy in general now or if it's LA, but in Detroit, I felt like if I lost the audience, they were gone. That was it. Like halfway through, if they started like, oh, I don't really like this, then forget it, phone in the rest of your set. It's not going to matter. Here in LA, I feel like if I'm doing a show and a joke doesn't go over for whatever reason, the next joke might kill. They're like audience is listening on like a joke by joke basis more so than the vibe of the whole person. I've noticed those things more than not.
Esther, every city every state and every country is different. As a comedian, how important is it to do your homework and research on where you're performing at?
I like knowing to a degree, like, I think yeah, I like knowing what kind of place it is, what kind of crowd it usually is, and what they would, I guess that's kind of like I said before, like looking at the audience ahead of time, kind of seeing the demographic. I feel like sometimes whoever is there will tell you, like, oh, these are these kind of people. Like, um, we, my boyfriend was doing shows in Vegas, and that was an interesting demographic. Like, ended up doing a guest set for one of the shows. They are they will be out on a Monday night and it feels like a Saturday night because they're in Vegas. They're on vacation. Like most people that are going to a show, it's like, okay, they're going to be tourists. They're going to be all different ages, all different spectrum of every sort. So you never know what kind of people they're going to be, and they're not going to all agree. There's some places where if you go to a certain city, that most likely they're going to have like kind of the same, like same mentality, the same genre of person, the same, because they're all in the same town. They all live around there. And then some places are like, oh, you don't know. They're not. One person could be sitting next to another person that thinks it's hilarious, and the other person is like, oh, I don't like that kind of humor. So,
What's been your toughest crowd in your career so far?
hmm, I don't know. Trying to think of one that stood out that was really like difficult. I don't know. I've I feel like I've done, oh, I know what, this is so stupid. Okay, my friend Heather Kozlakowski had a group. We were called the Laugh Riot Dolls, and it was all these women, and she would do shows, and different women would get on different shows, and we did a show. This, these women loved it. They said, we want to hire you guys for my daughter's um, open house. She was graduating from high school, and we were in a woman's family room in a house. So it was me and like five other women. And the first one goes up, does whatever. It's feeling weird. And she, come to find out, I go up during my set. I'm not clean. They told us we don't have to be clean. The girl is 18, I assume, because she's graduating high school. During my set, I hear her go, "Mom, make it stop." She told us to leave, and we just had to like stop. She paid us, but the little girl was just like embarrassed. I guess her mom loved it. Her mom was mom age. I don't know, the age of a mom of an 18-year-old. She loved it. This little girl was mortified, just mortified. I, it was so funny. That was the hardest crowd because there was a grandma, there was like four 18-year-old girls, and then some random parents in somebody's family room. That was crazy.
Esther, can you just tell us about some of the comedy festivals that you've performed in your career so far? And do you have any plans to travel to Canada internationally in 2026?
I don't have any plans to. I don't know. I performed in, think of all the festivals. I feel like I did for a while there, was doing a lot of festivals. They were a lot of fun. Laughing Devil in New York. There was a Boston Women in Comedy Festival, and there was the ones I still have done more recently are the Detroit Women in Comedy Festival, which is at Planet Ant. And I used to be a producer for the Motor City Comedy Festival. So we used to actually put that on. It's still happening. I just stepped down as a producer, but um, it was always fun to travel to New York and get to perform in like Broadway Comedy Club and all these other places there with a built-in audience, because what I like about comedy festivals is it's a curated experience for the audience, where a lot of times comedy has become this like, how many people can you bring? And if you're TikTok famous, you might be famous for making a stupid face on TikTok every day that gets a million followers, but can you write a setup and a punchline that's entertaining for 10 minutes? So with festivals, there are people who are judging, who are accepting you, and so audiences have trust in those festivals. So that's been probably the most fun of of the festivals, and getting to see cities like that's how I saw Boston. That's how I went to New York a few times. I'm trying to remember if I do Windsor. It's sometimes there's just a show, so it's hard to know. They feel sometimes they're very like everybody's there, and it feels like you're at camp because you meet all these other comics and you're all kind of staying in locally in the same areas and meeting the locals. They're telling you where to go, taking you around. It's fun.
Do you still come back to Michigan occasionally?
I do. I was there from where the video was from August, I want to say that was. But I usually go back around Christmas time. I didn't this year, but I'll definitely be back at some point next year.
And
Or
if you
this
do,
year. Sorry.
and if
We're not in last year anymore.
no, 2026, that scares the hell out of me. I'm still stuck in 1986. That's 40 years ago, and it's freaking me out.
Oh,
So it's like, where does the time go? It
yeah.
seems like you hit a certain age, someone's got a remote control, and they hit the fast forward on it.
It really feels that way. It does.
And when I get older, I put on weight, but I also get shorter at the same time.
I think
So,
same.
hey, how did you come about being a member of the Fox 2 Detroit Morning Comedy
Oh,
Council
yeah.
segment? What was that like?
It was fun. It was, oh my gosh, now I'm gonna forget his name. But anyway, um, what is that man's name? There was a man who was on Fox 2 mornings.
Older
And
gentleman?
yes. Oh man, I can't think of his name, but I had friends who were friends of some people that were on Fox. He would go to some of the comedy shows, and he uh he got us involved. He wanted to do a comedy segment on there. And it was like talking about pop culture, which I love doing. And probably the most difficult part was just making sure I was looking at the right camera, and then also making sure I didn't say anything crazy. But it was a lot of fun. It was like what was going on in the world at the time, via pop culture. We could come up with our own things too, like, oh, can we talk about this? Can we talk about that? And I want to say one of the comics went on there, said something inappropriate, and they didn't do it again. But now I do have friends who are on the news still in Detroit. My friend Melanie Hearn is on there a lot, and I believe she's on Channel 4 now. Yes. And she does some guest hosting, and she's great. She's hilarious. I love it when the local comics kind of get involved with the local news.
I've had a couple of people from Fox 2 Detroit on my show. Dan Miller, the voice of
Ooh.
the Detroit Lions, and
Oh, cool.
Jennifer Hammond, who's been with Fox two in Detroit, I think, for 25 years. So they both come on my show. And Brad Galley from Channel 7. Brad's a sports guy there too. He's been really
Yeah.
good as well. So I look at Detroit as my second home with my cousins living there, and then my media connections over there as well.
Yeah, that's great.
As we wrap up this show, are you okay for 3 minutes? 3 more quick
Yeah,
minutes?
for
Okay.
sure.
What's next on your bucket list as an actor, a writer, and a stand-up comedian and improviser?
Hmm. I guess writing wise, I wanted to write more sketches. I feel like it's hard to work with people consistently. I've had shows here that I've worked on and then they go away for whatever reason because the group or the theater or the whatever it is. So I want to write sketches more consistently. I feel like I've been doing more improv than stand up in 2025 at least. So do I want to do a lot more stand up? I feel like I got disheartened with a lot of the just cringy, like offensive stand up that I was so tired of. I just didn't I was I was disheartened and now I feel like it's gotten better in a lot of ways. So to just get out doing more shows in general and with improv, I always have another theater or another class or another thing that I want to take. I feel like with improv, I am always taking a workshop or a class, or that's how it feels like motivating. It feels like that's how I get the the feeling of like, oh, I want to try this new thing, or I talked to this person and they kind of had this philosophy and I want to try this way. I took a workshop at Groundlings Theater and I've wanted to take classes there and probably end up doing trying to do more character work. In Detroit, they didn't have a lot of just you're learning a character only. And here in LA, they have a lot of like character classes, character open mics where you just go and you do a character. I haven't done that as much. I want to do that this year.
If Hollywood made a movie about yourself, which actors would you like to play yourself?
Weird. I don't know. I will say I was Ugly Betty for Halloween once, and I was a good Ugly Betty. So maybe America Ferrera.
Now, as an
But
actor, would you like to play a villain or would you like to play the babyface good guy?
hmm, I think a villain would be more fun.
Gonna put you on the spot here as we wrap up our show, Esther. What are some
Okay.
fun facts? What are some fun facts or one fun fact about yourself?
I guess my funnest fact, I not trying to brag or anything, but I won the longest ponytail contest at the Michigan State Fair for 2 years in a row. So,
Wow. What kind
it's
of a
you
prize
didn't
did you get for
know.
that? What prize did you get for that?
Trophy. I got a trophy. I have 2 trophies from the Michigan State Fair from let's see, I was 11 and 12, so it would be in 1983, 84. Am I doing the math right? I think so. Anyway, yeah, that that was those were the days, right? The first year I was just a walk-in because we were just walking around. I had long my mom didn't cut my hair. I don't know what happened. I don't know if this ever happened to any other children, but my mom decided to never cut my hair after a certain point. So my hair was 2 inches below my knees. That's how long it was. And then she would just braid it in French braids or one French braid every day. So every day my life was get up, take a bath, braid your hair, go about your life until I was 13. I got to finally cut it. But we were at the state fair and we saw this contest, and my mom was like, hey, let's try it. And she took my hair out, but it was braid all day. So it was wavy. So it wasn't as long. So we looked around and there was like pageant mom style people there that were there every year that were like third year running champion or whatever. And so we're looking around, like taking it all in. My mom's like, next year we're coming back. We're taking it. So then we came back, made sure my hair was washed and straight. And then I won and I got to be on the news. It was ridiculous. It was.
That's what I love. That's what I love about this show is the storytelling and the learning aspect from all my guests.
It was so weird. And before me, before the longest ponytail contest was the biggest afro contest, and they had a thing that would measure the diameter. It looked like a big scissors that they would put around. It's like these little kids with these giant afros. I don't even know if the state fair still has that stuff, but I love the state fair. It's so ridiculous.
I've never had long hair. I've had really thick hair, and I find the older I get, I like mine shorter. And I find when I get it cut shorter, the hair grows back even quicker.
Ah, yeah. Now, if you get to be a certain aged old lady, I wear it up a lot.
You're only 32. You're only 32. 32. That's Magic Johnson's number too, 32. He's from Lansing, Michigan.
Yeah.
So, hey, as we wrap this up, Esther, ask the host CDP a question. As we wrap this up, do you have a question to put me on the hot seat?
The hot seat. Oh, I guess so. So because we're of the same generation, what's the craziest thing you did in high school?
Boy, that's a good question. Ah, I wouldn't say it was in the classroom. It would be on recess. Back in the 80s or early 90s, during our breaks, we all liked the WWF back then. And we used to do finishing maneuvers from these wrestlers. And I'm just lucky I didn't get hurt. One of the guys did some kind of slam on the ground, and I was just lucky I didn't get hurt. I would say something like that. I wasn't Mr. Popular in high school. I had my group of friends, but I wasn't really Mr. Popular. And I wish I could go back in time because I was in such a hurry to grow up and get out of high school. I didn't really enjoy the experience as much as I could. So, but that is a very good question, by the way. And by the way, I started this 6 years ago during the pandemic, March 2020. I got a work divorce from my other career. I was grateful for that career, but I got a taste of the broadcasting bug by volunteering, and the camera work led to me doing the podcast show. And now 6 years later, I've done 700 episodes, 1,400 guests, and I love what I'm doing. And it's not really work when you have a passion. And I can tell, Esther, how passionate you are about being a comedian, improv artist, and writer, and an actor. It's important, whatever you do, you need to have a passion.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, I've asked that because all the crazy stuff that in those days there was not as much supervision, and we did crazy stuff and we didn't even know.
And there was no
crazy.
phone. There was no phone. Thank
Yeah.
God there was no phones back then. Because I admit I use my phone a lot, but it's a distraction. And I do go into
Oh,
local
yeah.
high schools once a month and speak to kids about careers and education. And the teachers always have to remind the kids to put their phones away. And I'm like, it's changed everything. These smartphones, in a way, have been great. But in a way,
Mhm.
I'm kind of glad I grew up in the 70s and 80s because we had to go door to door to socialize or make a phone call. And nowadays, everybody's just on their phone or texting or DMing, and it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Esther, finally, where can our audience follow you on your social media platforms, your website, and can you just tell us maybe some of your upcoming live comedy shows in California, and if any of them are going to be live streamed so folks like me in Canada can watch? I think I lost your audio there. Okay, guys, Esther's audio, I just lost it. So we're just wrapping up the show with our guest Esther here, and we're just talking about where we can find Esther on her social media platforms, website, and some of her upcoming live comedy shows. I do have her link tree on here and her TikTok. You can follow her at Esther TOI on TikTok, and she's also on Instagram as well. So she's on TikTok, Instagram, Linktree, and her website is Esther Nevarez at .com as well. So Esther, I'm not sure if you're still silent. I can't hear you. Yeah. So I think we're going to have to wrap up the show. I want to say thank you to Esther for coming on here tonight. And again, guys, her social media sites and website are there as well. Unfortunately, she's got on. Okay. I can hear you now. Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, it's okay. Got to improvise. Got to improvise even in doing this.
But I was going to say, I have a show the second and fourth Wednesday improv show at a place called the Pack Theater in Los Feliz, which is in Los Angeles. And that is where I am most consistently performing with my improv group called Casual Outfit. And I also host an improv jam there on Tuesdays. I'm there probably every other Tuesday. And we also have what's called an Armando show, where we have what is called a monologist, all these words. People come in, tell stories, and then we do improv based on the stories. So I'm mostly out of the Pack Theater for improv at the moment. And I do stand up all around LA. I don't have a show booked coming up in the moment, but I have stand up all around LA. My social media is at Esther Toy, which is at ESTHERTOI on all social media platforms. And my cat is at Simba with the thumbs, spelled like you would think it is spelled. Most important, follow my cat.
I will follow. And have you thought about being a teacher and coach in comedy and improv at some point?
I've thought about it, but I have teachers that were so good, that are still so good, that I'm always like, I'm like, oh, be as good as them. I have thought about it, and I feel like there's a lot. I want to say the market is saturated in LA at the moment for that, but who knows? Who knows? I would love to at some point. Like I said, I get up in the morning and I'm like, I want to do a million things, and then I'm self-employed, so I need to be a better boss. I can relate.
I'm still learning how to be a better salesperson, better boss, and start charging people for doing stuff for me as well. Hey, but I wanted to share some good news with you. I did get a Super Bowl 60 media pass for Santa Clara in a couple weeks. I was shocked that I got it, but I've worked really hard at doing this, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to attend it or not, but it's just really an honor from the National Football League to get a pass. And you know what? This show is successful because of the guests. I'm very fortunate to have great guests like yourself on and many others, and I'm very lucky. And I love doing this show. And you do have an open invite to come back on again as well. And if you do a comedy show that's ever live stream, please let me know, because I would like to. I can't get out to California right now, but if you ever do live stream performances, I would like to watch it as well.
I will. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Continue success in your comedy, improv career, writing, and as an actor. And I'd love to have you back on again in the future. Finally, Super Bowl. Who's going to win the Super Bowl 60 then? Who do you have?
Oh, man.
Last question.
It'd be funny if it was the Broncos at this point, right? But I guess it's going to be the Rams, and then LA's just not going to care.
I I agree with you on the Rams. I don't know about Seattle. Denver's got no Bo Nix. He broke his ankle against Buffalo at the end of the game. And New England, New England's played good, but they've really played cupcake schedule. So I do agree with you. I think the Rams are going to get a Super Bowl, just like the Dodgers kind of stole the World Series from the Blue Jays this year. The Blue Jays really should have won that World Series. So sports is not always talent. It's a little bit of luck. And you know what? Any career you're in, talent helps, but you also need a little bit of luck too.
For sure.
All right. Well, Esther, thank you so much. And I apologize for keeping you over 90 minutes. So thank you so much.
I'm sorry my headphones died, but we're good.
No, it happens. And give me a little bit of time tonight, and I will send you the full video, the audio, and I will edit it into reels and clips if you'd like to share it on your social media platforms as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Esther. Have a great night. And it's -20 and snowing here in Ontario. Just remember that. -20 wind chill. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You too. Talk to you soon, Esther. All right, everybody. That concludes season 12, episode 46, overall 651 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. Again, brought to you by our friends at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph, Ottawa. Check out their website, barrycullen.com. And I have another announcement to make as well, guys, as we wrap this show up. The next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, brought to you by barrycullen.com, is going to take place on Friday, January 23rd at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 on the West Coast, with special guest Judy Soretta. Judy Soretta, she is an actress based out of the state of California. So I have another California guest on this Friday, January 23rd, 4 o'clock East Coast, 1 Pacific, with Judy Soretta. And we're going to talk a little bit about her acting career as well. And as we wrap up this show, guys, again, Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership is, again, your go-to service center this winter. A no-charge, that's right, a no-charge 12-volt battery test. Plus, you can receive a $20 instant rebate if you happen to need a new battery. Located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph, Ottawa. And make sure you tell them Chris Palme sent you as well. Also, guys, check me out on Cameo. Cameo.com/Chris Palme. Book a cameo now. I do happy anniversary, happy birthday, congratulations, happy Hanukkah. If you want to ask me questions about my talk show or about some of my favorite guests or favorite athlete and coaches interviews, go to cameo.com and book your cameo today. You can also follow me on Blue Sky Social. Blue Sky Social is what Twitter X used to be, at Live with CDP19 on Blue Sky Social. Finally, guys, if you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society, located at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. All the animals that are up for adoption there, you can check out the profile information at cambridgehumanesociety.org. And they do a wonderful job there getting the cats, the dogs, and pets there adopted into good homes. And check out some of the dogs down there, like Daisy and Christopher and Molly. A lot of them are wonderful dogs. And I volunteer down there twice a week as a dog walker, and I wish I could adopt them all as well, especially Daisy, who's a 3-year-old female bulldog mix as well. So if you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society. Remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can adopt it at the Cambridge District Humane Society. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. And I want to say thank you to everyone for listening to this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, and wherever podcasts are available. And that is about it for tonight's show, guys. Again, I want to say thank you to my guests for coming on here tonight. And I'm looking forward to my next show Friday, January 23rd at 4 p.m. with actress Judy Soretta, who is an actress out of California. And again, thank you to Esther Nevarez, Esther Nevarez for coming out here. She's from Michigan and now out in Los Angeles. So please make sure you follow Esther on her social media platforms as well. So thank you to Esther Nevarez and to Barry Cullen Chevrolet for advertising and sponsoring this show. And I want to say thank you to everyone for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. Now, my next show is not until Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, but I am going to work on maybe getting a show possibly Thursday. And I do have a show on Saturday as well. And speaking of guests, if you're watching this show right now or listening to it, you have a unique career and story you'd like to share, you can email me at cpame19@gmail.com or DM me on social media if you're interested in being a guest on Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show or the Small Talk podcast as well. And also, if you're a business looking to advertise on my talk show and CDP Media Productions, I am on 21 platforms, and I do have over 600,000 viewers on YouTube and over 71 countries around the world listening to this audio. My prices are fair and competitive compared to radio rates. So if you're looking to advertise, consider Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. cpame19@gmail.com or DM me on my social media pages. So I hope everybody stays warm. Enjoy the college football game tonight, guys. I believe they should probably be in the second quarter right now. You got the Miami Hurricanes taking on the Indiana Hoosiers. Who would have thought Indiana, which is known for their basketball school, would be one win away from a national championship? I've got Indiana winning this game tonight, 37-20 over Miami. So it should be in the second quarter right now. And the Detroit Pistons are playing tonight at Little Caesars Arena. They should probably be in the third quarter right now. They're taking on the Boston Celtics, which is on NBC, the Peacock network as well. So Celtics and Pistons. And the Red Wings are back in action on Wednesday at 7 o'clock at Scotiabank Arena as the Red Wings travel to Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. So it's a busy week for sports teams as well. And again, I want to say thank you to Esther Nevarez and everyone for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. Love doing this show, and I've been very lucky to have wonderful guests on here as well. So I'm hoping to get another show in before Friday, but if not, we'll see you all back here Friday at 4 o'clock for Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, hosted by Chris Pame and brought to you by BarryCullen.com. Have a good night, everybody, and stay warm here in Southern Ontario.